Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday, August 12th. Our anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Welcome to Pastors and Pups.
It's a big one. You gotta share. 20 years.
20 years.
2 decades.
2 decades. It's a big one. It's the platinum one.
Platinum. Did you buy me platinum for our anniversary?
Maybe. You'll find out later today.
That's all. All right.
Excuse me, I have to go return something.
Okay, moving on. It ought to be an interesting day. This week,
We're taking Sabbath. We're still talking Sabbath.
we're talking Sabbath. I don't know how good we are at taking Sabbath.
Clayton's taking Sabbath on my foot right
He
here.
is doing a good job.
Good boy.
So this week we're looking at things that we need to prioritize during our Sabbath time so that we can really take the rest that God has gifted to us.
Yep. Or the other thing we've been calling this, what to do when you're supposed to do nothing.
Yes, exactly. All right, so our scripture today comes from the book of Psalms. It's Psalm 46, verses 8 through 11. Come behold the works of the Lord. See what desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bows and shatters the spears. He burns the shields with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I am exalted among nations. I am exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. So I forgot to tell them what the priority of the day is, and it's to prioritize boring over busy.
Yes,
right. So in this
priority.
passage, God says, "Be still and know that I am God."
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think we like to be still because we find that boring. We always have to be doing something.
Yeah, I always equate it with the kids. I'm bored. They just say, and we've just like eliminated. I can remember being bored as a kid and just being bored, but now you don't have to be bored anymore. You have your phone, and you have your phone to entertain you at all times and all places. And
we took a little road trip this weekend down to Ann Arbor to get your drone from the Wesley Foundation director there. And then we were going to walk around campus. Ethan was supposed to be doing a tour in the spring of U of M's campus, which was of course canceled because of COVID-19. So we thought, the opportunity to pick up your drone and then just walk around campus before students arrive so he could just see campus. And he's been to the hospital and stuff, but not really on campus. And then we thought we would go to Trader Joe's and get some awesome trail mix and stuff. If you don't know, familiar with Trader Joe's, it's a great little grocery store that tends to be only in more urban areas. So we got there, and there was a line of 20, 25 people.
Oh, it must have been, yeah, at least. I mean, I think it was
it was circled around the whole parking lot.
Yeah.
Everybody's standing 6 feet apart, and it was just a little bit of a wake-up call. It was a different reality down there because nobody was in a group. Everybody was by themselves, so that must be one of the rules that they have in that area, which we had here for a while. You weren't supposed to shop in groups, but now people are kind of back to going to the store together, but only one person, all lined up 6 feet apart all the way around the parking lot, but every single one of them was like this.
On my phones.
25 people standing 6 feet apart around an entire parking lot. Not one of them looking up. They're all just on their phones.
Well, even if you're walking across campus, I mean, basically, you have to look out for everybody because everybody's on their phone. Walking across campus.
I remember that being really striking to me when we went to seminary. So when I was an undergraduate, we would go to class and everybody would sort of coordinate, who's going to this side of campus and, at this general time, and everybody would meet up and walk together. And so we would walk in these huge, groups around campus. And then, I did graduate school and, we didn't really walk around campus much when we were in graduate school. We parked at our building that we did our research. And so there was this time where I wasn't really in the walking to class life. And
When
then,
I was an
then we got to seminary.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, nobody walked with each other. Everybody was just on their phones. And
Yeah.
like,
Headphones.
in that little bit of time,
Everybody's
there
got
was this
headphones in and-
huge culture change.
Right. So in the late 90s, when I was in undergrad, I was at Western, and I used to have to like give myself 45 minutes to an hour to walk across campus because I would just strike up conversations with people on the way.
Oh, really?
Nobody wanted to walk with me at the time because it takes too long to get across. It became a joke with it takes Bill too long to get across campus because he's got to talk to everybody on the way. But you can't do that now. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, when I went to campus ministry, I thought, well, I got good gifts in me now, and my job is just to walk on campus and talk to people. But it's extraordinarily difficult because everyone's entertaining themselves with their phone. So, so all that is to say, we live in a world where, you know, boring is a very limited commodity, and it's definitely undervalued, underappreciated.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, it's in those moments of boredom that we have time for imagination. It's in those moments of boredom when we have time for innovation and creativity. And so I just wonder how, you know, it's going to affect our future, or how it's affecting our minds, our souls, to be lacking that moment of stillness.
Yeah, I don't really, I'm not going to say that I don't ever remember being bored as a kid, but I don't really remember being bored very often as a kid. It was interesting to me that you was like, oh, I remember being bored as a kid. Like, I always kept myself pretty entertained, like, and not with technology. I actually, like, used to hate watching television, and at some point later we got, you know, the Atari, right, and my mom and my brother loved to play the Atari. And my dad would be at work, and I would be so upset that they would sit there and play Atari.
So what did you do when you were by yourself then? Were you bored?
I mean, you know, I don't know. What did I do? I like to, like, rearrange my room. So, you know, if I had some spare time and I didn't have anything to do, I'd be like, you know, move my bed over here, and I rearrange my room. I always had some kind of nature experiment going. Like, I remember one summer, you know, I didn't know. I was a little kid. I was going to have, like, beehives, right? So I spent the whole summer, like, capturing bees in mason jars and feeding them flowers, hoping that I would make a honeycomb. It doesn't really work that way, FYI. And God bless my parents, you know, like, they just went with the flow, even though I had a bedroom filled with mason jars with bees in it. They let that. They never said anything to me.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that's what you do. That's what boredom creates. Like that idea, those imaginations, like time to rearrange your room. You know, it just opens up margins in your life, and so that you have capacity for something else, in a sense. Something creative, something like, who thinks to rearrange your room? You know, like, once you get it set, it's just going to be set. Forget it. You know, like, you don't have time for that. You know.
Yeah.
But that's something that is good for you know, your soul. It's like, we call that feng shui in the Chinese community. You know, like, just arranging it just for the, you know, energy at the time and, you know, space. You
know, you had to get the angles right.
Yeah.
Like, so I figured out, like, how I could arrange my bed and my dresser that had a mirror, so that, you know, when my parents put me to bed, I would, like, go to the bathroom like 15 minutes later and then not fully close my door, and then I could watch television in the mirror from my bed.
And this is the one who didn't really like to watch television, but you could see at least what everybody else was watching.
My parents made us go to bed really early for a really long time. And so all the other kids were watching, 8 o'clock, right? So I never saw primetime TV until, like, middle school, except for through the mirror.
That's probably why you don't know your left from the right, because you've been watching TV backwards.
No, I'm just messed up, babe.
Well, okay. So prioritizing boring over busy, when we just have that for the alliteration, it's really you don't want to think about that as like unscheduled time versus scheduled time. So create, space in your life to not be overscheduled. Not, what one day a week you're not going to take meetings, or one day a week you're, not going to go to another yoga class or whatever it is. Take an unscheduled day.
Yeah, you had kind of said on Sunday, and I mean, I don't disagree with this, but as soon as that rare day that we have where we have nothing scheduled, and like the first thing we say is, well, what are we going to do today, right? Like we want to schedule something. But I mean, I think in some way, like we actually have that day of Sabbath to do something creative, to do something different.
It's definitely said with that kind of energy.
That question is often like, we don't know what to do with this time. Like here we have this opportunity for Sabbath, and we're kind of lost in the time.
Yeah, and I think that what's necessary is we have to create space outside. It doesn't just happen is the issue. So you have to be intentional about planning for your off day, in a sense.
Yeah.
And so maybe it takes, sometimes it might take a couple of hours of Sabbath to create a plan for what you could, what you might do. What would be meaningful in terms of relational building, in terms of, spiritual formation. And so, but you never have space for that if you just keep a constant go schedule. So maybe you have to think of next Sabbath. Let's spend this Sabbath thinking about what we might do next Sabbath. That would be meaningful in those ways.
Yeah, often I'm this person, and I've talked to a lot of other moms. I think this is like, moms tend to be super busy and they're going all the time, and then every once in a while they find themselves at home alone, no demands on their life, and then they don't know what to do. You know what women do? Mothers, busy moms who never have any time by themselves, when they finally get a couple of hours alone.
No, what do?
They clean the house.
Yeah.
Because they literally don't know how to relax in that time.
So right. Well, I think that's one of the reasons that you need to go somewhere.
And I will say there is something satisfying about the house being cleaned, but there's something not quite right with it.
I'm like, even I think you like to be outside of the home on a Sabbath day because it allows you to free your mind from the home busy in a sense.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what you need to do, in order to get to that space where you're prioritizing, not doing something, overdoing something, or boring over busy. It is just change your space.
Yeah. Like I often say, it's really hard for me to vacation at home. So, to have a stay vacation is almost impossible because I'm looking around at all the things that need to be done in the house. And then
cobwebs, usually I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get those cobwebs. I got time to get those cobwebs now.
You gotta be like me. I never look up, so I don't even notice them.
Well, until
you point them out.
They just accumulate. I don't know. Like as soon as you get them down one week, they're back on the next week. So I don't know how that is. Must be time to change the furnace filter or something. I have a spare one. Anyway, see how your mind can go busy just thinking about your world, the things you got to get done.
It's just hard for me to get even away from work, even at the house, because it's sitting there, right?
So what are the ways that you practice your, the boring, and do you ever find yourself being bored? Do you ever seek that space out? How can you practice that stillness where you can encounter God? I know one of the things that I do is when I get home, I usually take my phone and stick it on the charger over by my desk, and which is not near my bed, so I'm really checked out, when I'm home. And usually it's not until I'm about to go out the door when I get my messages that, or I'm about to go back into go do more. Yeah.
It's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning. The last thing I do when I go to bed at night is to check email.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably be better about responding to emails though. But but you know, I just like could get obsessed by it too, and you know.
Yeah.
So it's not easy for me to come downstairs and collect the phone and, you know, look at it.
Yeah.
So that's why I just put the charger here. Although I do have a charger next to the bed. I mean, I have done that in a pinch, you know, when the kids are out late or something. But then I also have the do not disturb on from like 9 to 7 or something. So it doesn't ring at all if I. Although Sephora calls me and I answer it on my watch. I don't know how that works. So somehow she rings me every day at 8 o'clock, asks me to cook something for her. Snacks
For 8 o'clock snack.
Yeah. Anyway, so I you know that's something I do. I mean, what are some of the things that you do? You can put them in the comments below. We'd love to hear back. How might you practice? Because
I clearly need the suggestions, right?
Yeah. Keep the suggestions coming. Like, how can we practice stillness in our lives? Sometimes I think, you know, just like in that psalm, and basically the writer of the psalm has to be stopped by God and say, "Be still," you know.
Yeah.
And no. So sometimes we need someone to do that. So if you are feeling that way, you know, what could we do to help you? We'll put those in the comments too.
I mean, I would say like still doesn't necessarily mean that you're sitting in a chair watching minutes go by.
Okay, so I think, I mean, like, yeah, maybe, you know, maybe. So, you know, it's like.
So for me, like going hiking, like I think I just need to keep physically moving so that my brain can be still.
Yeah. Well, there's some stillness in the forest, that's for sure. Yeah. And it's quiet. I mean, I think, you know, people go on those silent retreats and.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Arthur loves to go on the silent retreats. And the rest of the crew, my
friends and colleagues.
Yeah, and you know, we have a men's group, the clergy men's group, and the rest of the group is. Last time he tried to get us all to go on a silent retreat, you know, very few of us actually showed up on it. And you know, I don't know. I mean, Tom doesn't ever say, you know, you're just afraid to be with your thoughts. But I think maybe you know, that's not wrong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I think that if you know. It's not about being still, you know, like you can go to the forest and practice stillness, but yeah, like being alone with your thoughts is a pretty daunting space to be in. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think a lot of times we create busy in order to avoid being alone with the things that we need to really grapple with. You'll probably talk about that Sunday.
I will, yeah.
We'll
hit on that. And we talk about some of the things that you gain from Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
We'll touch on that.
Good. Well, I think that's. I'm really excited. I'm missing your comments, so you know, do participate in the comments, and I'd love to hear what you have to think about.
Yeah, I would love people to comment on how they take Sabbath, how do they take Sabbath? Rest.
Yeah.
How do they take time to be bored versus busy?
Yeah. And do you take a whole day? That'd be great. If somebody out there is taking a whole day, you might describe how that works for you on taking a whole day. Maybe you haven't got to a whole day yet, but you're working on trying to get to a whole day. Maybe there's little moments of time where you try to squeeze it in. I would love, you know, no judgment. I would love to know how you pull that off, you know, or what are the kinds of things you might do. And then that would be a way that we could all prioritize a whole day with some of those practices. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we're ready for a prayer.
Yeah, I have that sheet. All right, let's pray. God of stillness, give me a heart to love you and know that I have nothing to fear in boredom, because in this stillness I will truly encounter you. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Have a good day. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
See you tomorrow.